garden friends, and welcome to my channel, DK's Garden Oasis. I am Debbie. I'm a master gardener and butterfly raising hobbyist. On this channel, I'll show gardeners, whether you are a new gardener or an avid gardener, how to bloom, grow, and conserve in your garden. So we got our first measurable snow yesterday, and so the weather is definitely changing. So I'm glad I got out last week and finished getting my garden to sleep for winter. Last week was in the 70s, and now we are in high 30s, low 20s. I didn't prune most of my garden, as I leave the garden as a protection for beneficial insects. In the late winter, early spring is when I prune my garden. And a little bit about pruning hydrangeas. I know there's a lot of questions regarding pruning. I work at a garden center and I get calls every week about how to prune, or when and how to prune hydrangeas. So if you'd like to hear about that, leave a comment below and I'll do a video next spring about pruning your hydrangeas. Generally though, at the garden center, we have a general rule: don't prune your hydrangeas in the fall. You can deadhead the spent blooms, but a lot of people just leave them for winter interests, which is what I do. If you do prune, you're going to be sacrificing your blooms for next year. Also, when you do prune, it stimulates growth, and you don't want to do that when we're going into winter. So a good rule of thumb is to prune in the spring when things are just waking up. You can then look at your plants when you can start seeing them bud. You can tell which branches you need to prune that are dead. Anyways, I digress. Today's video is going to be planting Amaryllis and showing you milkweed pods and what I do with them. Make sure you stay to the end, where I share a helpful garden tip about winter mulching. I purchased 4 Amaryllis bulbs from Longfield Gardens. I've tried to get them to rebloom. I've tried a couple years, and every year they do grow the strappy leaves, but I don't get them to rebloom. So if anybody has any tips, leave it in the comments below what you have done to get your Amaryllis to rebloom. I treat them as an annual, and they're a welcome sight after a long winter. And the first one I purchased is Amaryllis Single Evergreen. It has long, narrow petals and mint green color. Each bulb will give you 3 stems topped with 4 to 6 flowers. The next flower is Amaryllis Double Aphrodite, named after the Greek goddess of love. A beautiful double amaryllis with ruffled white petals and an apple green center. Each petal is edged in red and decorated with a tracery of fine brushstroke. Expect 3 stems with up to a dozen flowers. The third amaryllis I bought is the Amaryllis Single Magic Green. It has a pale green and ivory petal decorated with fancy brushstrokes of pink and burgundy that intensify as flower matures. Lightly ruffled edges, and you can expect 3 stems with 4 to 5 flowers per stem. And the last one I purchased is Amaryllis Single Mandela, an early blooming bulb with 6 to 7 inch flowers in deep red petals. I'm hoping this one will bloom by Christmas holidays. So a little bit about the Amaryllis and how to plant them. There are 3 variables that influence bloom time: a combination of where it was produced, when you plant it, and the variety of the Amaryllis. They are produced in Holland, Israel, Brazil, Peru, and South Africa. Growers harvest the bulbs in late summer, then they cure for a few weeks and then get sent to the US. They're available from mid-October to January, and the bloom times are January through March. When you receive those bulbs, store them in a cool, dark place until you're ready to plant them. You can figure 6 to 10 weeks after you plant them till you see blooms. Check out Longfield Gardens website for varieties and planting instructions that I have in the description box below. Amaryllis have long stems and big flowers. A heavy pot with a wide base will keep the plant upright, and I'm going to show you some flower supports as well. Choose a pot about 2 inches wider than the bulb. Use a high quality growing mix. Moisten the soil and fill about halfway, and put your bulb on top of the soil. Then fill with more soil till about 1/3 of the Amaryllis bulb is showing. After you plant the bulb, water well to settle in the bulb. The first thing that will emerge will be a bud, and then leaves and additional stems will follow. Rotate the plant every few days to keep the plant straight. You can keep this as an annual or try to rebloom the following year. As I said, I've tried to rebloom this and all I get are the big strappy leaves. But if you did want to try, the steps to doing that are to remove the flowers and stalks. If you grew in water rather than soil, and I've seen them in glass pots with rocks, you want to take that out and put it in soil, give it sun, and then it will send 3 to 6 strappy leaves. This will produce energy for next year's flowers. Give plenty of light and treat them as a houseplant during winter and spring. After danger of frost, you would put those outside, keep them moist but never soggy, and then you would want to fertilize 1 to 2 times a month. Then in late summer, early fall, you would let it rest. Stop watering and move to a cool, dark place like a garage or basement. The leaves will gradually wither as the plant goes dormant. Repot after your plants have rested for 2 to 5 months. Put in fresh soil and start the process again. In zones 9 to 11, you can plant outdoors as they are treated as perennials. Now I'll show you how to plant the Amaryllis bulb. So as you can see, I have my pots here and I have some indoor potting soil, and this is what I use, Miracle-Gro indoor potting mix. And I'm going to wet the soil a little bit. I did it about a little more than halfway. And the first one I'm going to be showing you is the Amaryllis single evergreen. And so this is the bulb. And of course these are the roots, and then the stalk will come out here. So what you're going to do is put it in the soil and then fill it about 1/3 of the way up, so generally to the top of this. So I will do that after I put the bulbs in and show you. So that was my first one. The second one is Amaryllis double Aphrodite. This one feels like a huge one. This one is pretty big. So I may have to find a bigger pot for this one. Okay. Third one I have is the Magic Green. And I think what I'm going to do is take some of the soil out and put these back in a little bit because they are really big bulbs. I could also try one in water as well, so maybe I will try that as well. And the last one is Mandela, Amaryllis single Mandela. This will be an early bloomer, hopefully blooming around Christmas. This one fits in here very well. So I'll show you with this one as I fill it up. The other ones I'm going to look for some bigger pots, but what you do is fill it about 1/3 of the way full. And then I'm going to water it in. So you don't want to cover up the bulb all the way up. You want to cover it about so 1/3 is exposed. So I wanted to also show you these supports that I got. So as they grow, you can put the stalks in here like this. And again, this one looks like is the right size for the Amaryllis. It's a little bit smaller size, but these are definitely big, so I'm going to have to move these to a different pot. And then I have this cute little thing that I got from, whoops, and I got this from the garden center that I can put my Amaryllis in as they bloom. Here are my milkweed pots, and see how they're split open like that? That means they are ready to broadcast. So I'm going to open those up and I'll show you in the back what that looks like. So I have 3 little pods here with lots of seeds in them that are ready to be broadcast, and maybe I'll save some for the refrigerator and put in my milk jugs. The silk is going to be pretty messy here. I know people have tricks to this, but I just wanted to show you this. I already put some pods outside in my garden, but this is kind of how they come out of the pod. These are the seeds, and then you just broadcast them in your garden. This is common, by the way, common milkweed. So what I'll do is I will put these in a container and put them in my fridge, and then in the winter I'll put them in some milk jugs and get these to grow. I already have some out in my garden already. There was, I think, three of these pots. So I broadcasted those in my garden, and then these I will put in my winter jugs for next year. So that is it for the planting. As I said, I always look forward to the blooms every winter, and I'll follow up with some photos as they start blooming. Next week is Thanksgiving, so I hope everyone will enjoy time with their families. My next video will be my successes and failures of my garden in 2022 and what I hope to do in my garden in 2023. So make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell for those future videos. In a couple weeks, I'll share my mommy-daughter weekend that I have been having with my daughter for at least the last 11, 12 years. We have been going to the Chris Kindle Market at Daily Plaza. And a couple of years ago, we started going to the One-of-a-Kind show where they have artisans make one-of-a-kind crafts. Then we do some Christmas shopping, and we try to get an evening show or event while we're there. And of course, we have great food and great conversation. We both look forward to that, so I'll share that with you. Then in December, I'm going to share my seed hauls of my vegetables, my flowers, and the perennials that I'll be planting next year. And then by then, I should have ordered my annuals and perennials from Proven Winners as well. Even though my garden is closed for 2022, a gardener is always thinking ahead till the next season. Now I'd like to share a garden tip for your winter garden. Thanks for watching, and happy gardening. Bye-bye.